And we are live. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I am one of your co-hosts, Blake Ruffino. Alongside me is my counterpart and co-host, Joe DeLeone. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. I have to sadly admit something. I got bamboozled. I don't know by what, but I thought that Big Ten Media Days started today. I gotta wear that one. I got really pissed off earlier. I was like, why is this so hard to watch Big Ten Media Days? And I did not read the freaking schedule. So it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, you got me pissed off. I'm over here. You tell me it's at 1 o'clock, and I'm like, do you not even televise this shit? And we're just like pissed off at the Big Ten. And I mean,
big mistake.
Yeah. I mean, something had we looked into it and figured it out, but something had to be up when they weren't televising it. But here's the truth. I didn't know that we had the Big Ten Network until today.
What do you mean?
At least in my house, I didn't know that.
Oh, you mean
I
you
could
didn't know
get
that
the
you
Big Ten
got
Network.
that? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
now you know you have it.
Yeah, now I know that we have it. I mean, look, they were playing old school games. It was the last game of Chris Peterson today with Ohio State with Urban Meyer in 2018 in the Rose Bowl. I mean, I actually sat there on the Big Ten Network and watched some football today.
I almost flipped that on. I chose not to. I gotta say though, it is a little weird. Like I don't get why it's starting on a Tuesday. I don't understand. Like I just don't know many. Why couldn't we have done Monday? I feel like the SEC does such a great job with their media days, and I know some people are going to roll their eyes because we glaze the SEC on this show. One of my biggest takeaways that I had last week, Blake, is that the SEC network coverage overall, best coverage out there for any sport. It's better than a lot of the NFL network coverage. It's better than a lot of the MLB, NBA, because it's just giving you the information and it's in front of your damn face. There's no digging for it. There's no, extra layers that you got to go through. There's not a bunch of, stupid segments that are built around trying to go viral. It's just football. That was all it was football.
Yeah, and you know what else is that you just get so many media content people that we all know and that are out there. I haven't seen a lot of people saying they're going to Big Ten Media Days for what it's worth.
No, the coverage has been a lot lower. A lot lower.
But doesn't mean that the conference can't win their third straight national title. We'll see if they can. And I am excited. I'm going to continue on this. I need Tony Petitti to sell me on the AQs. Now, I know that some people in the show today try to argue me on Twitter about strength of schedule, and boy, that didn't go over too well. But regardless of that, you got to sell people. You got to sell like, okay, we can agree to these terms. But, Joe, I got to ask you this question because it came to me today.
Mm-hmm.
Greg, speaking of media days, Greg Sankey said that he talks to Tony Petitti 3 to 4, sometimes 5 times a week. What in the hell are y'all talking about?
Maybe they're checking in on what they had for breakfast. Maybe they're checking in on how they're doing, how they're feeling. Maybe it's very friendly. Maybe it's a very friendly relationship. Or they could just be, see, this is what's kind of, I'm obviously joking. It's kind of funny to consider. It could be a really toxic. They could be going to war with each other by sending each other paragraphs every single day. I think that's the more realistic. I don't think that there's like a whole lot of agreeing going on. If they're fighting publicly the way that they are, I seriously doubt that they're on the same page. I mean, like, think about it this way. Toxic couples, they communicate still. They still talk to one another, but they fight with each other over text. That's what that texting is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's what's happening. But here's my thing. If you've been doing that for over a year, you didn't come to a conclusion. See, it's one thing about toxicity in a relationship, especially when a relationship involves children and you got deep emotional things happening. This is business. So if you can't put your bullshit aside, step aside for either one of them. So there comes a point in time, yes, a divorced couple cannot emotionally detach themselves from the current situation that they're in, especially when children are involved. This is business. This is billion-dollar business. And, Joe, well, maybe the SCORE Act is going to figure some things out for us because if you saw, looks like that they're going to have the votes to go to the House, and then they're going to need 7 Democrats to vote for it in the Senate.
Yeah, I have not caught up a ton with the –
It's not going to pass. It's
Yeah.
not pass. You need 7 Democrats to vote for it, and I don't think you're getting it on this. This is not the one that the Democrats are going to bend on. Sorry.
Admittedly, like I always am going to hold my breath. And I said this with the House settlement when we were cautious about discussing updates that came with it because we didn't want to jump to any conclusions because so much can change. But I honestly I'll not dig into knowing what's happening with an act like this, any type of legislature that's happening until it's actually passed. Because to your point, no one can ever agree on anything, and something like this does not feel like it will be agreed upon.
No, I don't think it will unless I don't know if people in the Senate or the President of the United States legitimately puts cards on the table for this. Like, hey, we do deals for this. I don't think it's that high on his agenda. I guess we'll wait and see. If he does do that, I think sports fans all over the country would absolutely love him. Joe, speaking of violations, and that's what they do in D.C., there was some big news that came out today out of the Big Ten as Tony Petitti is standing by the University of Michigan, stating that he does not believe that the University of Michigan should be hit any harder than they already have. Now, before we get on this topic, I want to talk about what actually that the Michigan Wolverines have been hit with so far this year. They have 3 years of probation. They got a $100,000 fine from the NCAA and a $100,000 fine from the Big Ten. They have limited recruiting restrictions per the NCAA, and Sharon Moore was suspended 2 games in his role in the Connor Stallions investigation. Also, Jim Harbaugh has a 4-year show cause in the NCAA. Those 2 violations come on the fact of Connor Stallions and the recruiting violation of Michigan. But, Joe, we have a situation here. Why is Tony Petitti coming out of left field saying Michigan should not get hit at any more punishment than what they've already received, number one? And, Joe, do we agree with him that Michigan everything should be passed with the Matt Weiss investigation that is ongoing?
Well, I don't know if a lot of this was the Matt Weiss stuff was brought up. Like it didn't seem like what I read with Dan Wetzel's article that came out that was included in the scope of this. I don't know actually Petitti's thoughts on if he feels that there should be any sort of penalty that's delivered to them because of that or anything.
No, he came out today and said no. I mean, you can't say that can we get to a baseline on something? There's no way that he can say what he said and not know that the Weiss and the Weiss situation is ongoing. Fair?
Okay. Yeah. But it felt like that the most of this, the weight of most of this was tied directly to the sign stealing scandal. I feel like, Blake, that this story has a lot less to do with Michigan and a lot more to do with Tony Petitti. And the reason why I say this is because of the light that it now paints Tony Petitti in. We look back at when this story broke back in 2023.
Yes.
And when the battles were being had and the fights were starting to bubble up between, quite literally, Tony Petitti and representatives at the University of Michigan. That was a very contentious situation. Now, all of a sudden, a couple of years later, he's going to bat for a team in his conference. That concept of him going to bat for Michigan makes total sense. It makes complete sense. You want your team to still hold their national title. You don't want them to lose that. You don't want that to be marked when we're in an era where the Big Ten has won the last 2 national titles. You want that to stay. But in the circumstance of how negatively they spoke about you, how the Michigan fans booed you, administrators were upset with your handling of that situation, we forget of how really brutal that whole conversation was.
Harbaugh when they were on the plane ride, right?
They tried to get a restraining order in order to allow for Harbaugh to coach, and I believe that Michigan ended up pulling back. This is
No, it got denied. Remember? It got denied.
Yeah. This is a conspiracy theory that I have right here. before anyone like jumps on me and I'm not saying that this is the truth. I'm merely just pitching this to stir shit up. We are a day away from Tony Petitti addressing Big Ten Media Day to talk about the new college football playoff model and his stance on it, and he is in the minority on his belief. What if the SEC had something to do with this piece of information about him reading this letter and sharing this, or not reading this letter, but sharing this letter with the Big Ten, which this was not public information. This happened back in June. Mm-hmm. This was not something that was publicly covered until now. Right. What if the SEC had something to do with this in order to call into the question the credibility of Tony Petitti? I might be going a little off the rails with that.
Yeah, because Dan Wenzel's not the person that he would have given that to.
I don't think Petitti gave him that, though.
No, if the SEC gave it to...
that's a good point.
They wouldn't give it to Dan Wenzel, even though he's at ESPN. They would have given it to Ross. Sankey would have hand-delivered it. Now, listen, Dan Wenzel's a lot of things. I'd never necessarily agree with him during the COVID thing, but in reference to commissioners talking to Dan Wenzel, with all due respect to every other journalist that's out there, we literally got Dan Wenzel in the middle of the Michigan investigation, like people giving him all. Like he's in the middle of the documentary, literally given all. Dan Wenzel is fantastic at his job. I don't think your conspiracy theory is necessarily completely off in reference to maybe it's somebody from the back door type of situation and happening here. I'm not saying an SEC team wouldn't be involved. What I would say is, though, Joe, what does it matter to them? Like, what does it matter to the SEC? Why would they? It doesn't benefit them to try to put Petitti down. I can understand the logic of you take Petitti down a couple of notches, and then Greg Sankey gets what he wants. I understand what you're saying there. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's what because Tony Petitti's still got to agree. If you piss him off, he's never going to agree on anything, and we stick at 12 games. If you wanted to go to 16. Now, we had Sankey out there last week talking 4 different times on 4 different shows saying, I mean, I can be sold on 16. I think 12 is more comfortable for me. I mean, he said it 4 times last week. I don't know if he really wants to expand. I'm not saying your conspiracy theory is off or wrong or anything like that, but it is very interesting. The thing that pisses me off the most, and I do use my words in my humble opinion in the correct fashion, why would you write that? Why would you stick up for them and say, Joe, with all due respect, let me just say it like this. My grandfather used to preach to me that a still tongue keeps a wise head, as his grandson does a podcast, and that's how he makes a living when he talks for a living. But you can't go out there in a letter specifically talking about no more punishment coming down from Michigan, even if it painted the sign stealing, because, Joe, the God's honest truth is they should be under investigation for a lack of institutional control.
Yeah, we said this.
And we've already, and look, we got tagged in it today. Did you see it?
That was weird. That was like really weird. I don't know what that account was. I think very intense.
Very intense, that video. Listen, to the guy that edited it, good job for you. But there also comes a point in time where this is a bad look for Tony Petitti, in my opinion, because if this were about like the sign stealing scandal, if this were about the hot dogs and the microwave and the food that Harbaugh paid to have kids eat, let's just be honest. Stop that. Like, come on. Kids are getting paid NIL. He can feed them some freaking hamburgers and hot dogs. Like, stop, okay? I'm even over the Stallions thing based off of what they hit him with. But now you got a bombshell. And here's where the problem comes in for me and why this is so much of a bad look for Tony Petitti. Joe, female athletes' accounts got hacked by this dude, allegedly. And then you put out a letter that gets leaked out saying that they shouldn't get any more violations, and the biggest one hasn't even dropped yet, technically. Like, this dude was taking intimate photos from people's phones and computers. Again, allegedly.
Yeah.
Joe, if he's found guilty of this, the charges that would come after him are egregious. Like, what, brother, he broke multiple federal laws, and I'm just going to tell you, interstate commerce laws, okay? In some of these situations, you should have been quiet, and you should have let it played out to everybody. I understand he didn't go public with it, but you can't tell other universities and presidents and schools that you want to defend Michigan over something that's got, I hate to say it like this, sexual stuff going on, intimate photos of women that were going on. And Joe, what about in the investigation if we find out that what he was doing with those photos? Then you got a massive egg on your face if you're Tony Petitti in the Big Ten. I am not in the camp, never will I be in the camp, that they shouldn't get something for this Weiss investigation. I think they should be hit a little bit harder. I got to be honest. They need to take a postseason away from them. If you're going to be in the situation that you have dished out, Tennessee, LSU, and other institutions that you have taken out punishment for in the past, you got to do the same damn things that you've done to those other programs. By the way, newsflash, for the LSU one, when the post-game ban happened, Joe, they didn't even wait for it to play out in court. The NCAA hit LSU in an investigation of covering up sexual misconduct. Joe, it was found in court to be quote unquote baseless. So we're getting to a situation where I get saying about the Stallions and the recruiting violations. I get it. But Joe, you got to read the room. The room is that their investigation might not be over, and it shouldn't be over.
So to kind of reiterate what I brought up at the beginning of this, based on, we don't have a copy of the letter.
Correct.
That's not what Dan's reporting was.
But
Dan's
based off of what you got from the letter, from the article.
Dan's reporting, and one of the quotes from this seems like it's very, very direct to the sign stealing. But to your point, I don't think that it removes Petitti's thoughts on the entire matter. I think.
But how can you not?
Wait, hold on a second.
Sorry.
I'm just inferring that he made this statement, delivered this letter to the Big Ten during the infractions hearing, to the NCAA during the infractions hearing.
Right.
In order to emphasize that no more punishment should be delivered for the sign stealing, in order to set the table for whatever you're going to deliver for maybe a lack of institutional control, whatever punishment that is tied to the Matt Weiss investigation, all of that stuff, that the sign stealing not be a part of it. So that's what I'm kind of inferring from this.
But the problem in that is, if we want to get into minutia, the problem with that is you have 11 level 1 violations that you committed.
Yes.
You can't just this is what I think he's trying to do. I think he's trying to put all that to bed because he understands the bombshell is coming and he doesn't want Michigan to get absolutely hammered here from a total aspect. And because, let's call it what it is, Michigan is picked 4th to finish the Big Ten this year. 4th.
Right.
And if you want to go to a playoff, you don't want them to have a postseason ban. Let's call it what it is.
Yes. He wants to protect them now suddenly. And this all comes back to the general theme of this. Petitti does not come out looking strong at all.
No.
He is, in a way, he's cowering to Michigan in order to appease them and make sure that they still look good after the huge fight that he went through when he first stepped in as the commissioner. That was his first year as the commissioner. All the crap that they put him through, and now all of a sudden he's going to bat for them. But most importantly, and you mentioned this not that long ago, a couple of minutes ago, the way that this should be handled is that he shouldn't say anything.
Yes.
He shouldn't be in favor. He shouldn't be against. You are not the arbiter of what the ruling is and what the outcome is of this entire encompassing problem. I have said on this show before that I think that the sign stealing, counter stallion stuff was aggressively overblown. We're not going to relitigate that. we have talked about how the recruiting violation thing. I also think that is incredibly overblown in the current era that we're in the recruiting violations for
especially
going on
with hamburgers
FaceTime
and
with
hot
kids.
dogs. Well,
Right,
especially with hamburgers and hot dogs.
But when we put all this together, yes, it does paint this picture that the entire organization, the entire athletic department was running rampant. That's why the last segment that we did on this, my thoughts sound completely different than all the other segments. So I will stick to this point. I think this news today from Dan, who did a great job reporting on this, really shows that Petitti does not look like he is a power holder in the conference. He should not be bending to what Michigan needs to help itself stay alive. He should be standing on the sideline and then waiting to react afterwards. This makes him look soft.
I agree with that. It takes backbone to legitimately stand up to that. And I think you're 100% right. But here's the thing, too. He also knows that Michigan, let's call it what it is. I'm not saying Indiana with Kurt Signetti can't build something. That's not what I'm about to say here. Let's call it what it is. The 4 real programs in the Big Ten are Penn State, Oregon, Ohio State, and Michigan. Joe, regardless of what happens with NIL, and maybe the house case does do stuff, and it helps these bigger programs, who knows? Okay? Let's say that we do have one transfer portal window and the SCORE Act goes through. When all this is said and done, by the way, Michigan won a national title 2 years ago in the heart of NIL. The bottom line is that you want Michigan to be a player in here when this playoff expands. And I got to be real with you. There's a thought process that I have that there's a reason that Tony Petitti has not accepted anything with Greg Sankey because he wants this stuff with Michigan to be over with. You legitimately do not want Michigan out of the table, and then you agree to a 5+11 model. Why would you? Why would you? Like, you do not want to do that. So again, either you're cowering to Michigan fans or you're doing it for what you think, and what might be, Joe, ironically, what is best for the entire conference is that they don't get hit with anything else. But the bottom line remains is that Michigan, with this whole Weiss investigation, everything that's going on, Joe, how many more level 1 violations do you need? I mean, just so everybody understands, you commit 3 felonies in the United States of America, you're going bye-bye. Like, bye-bye. Meaning the 3
bye-bye?
Meaning, like, sometimes if it's aggressive, like very alternating crimes, Joe, you might get life in prison. It's called the 3-strike rule. Like, to commit 3 felonies is very insane. You're literally looking at this man and saying to yourself, brother, you got 11 level 1 violations. Joe, I'm sorry. I have been hammered in reference to our conversations over this Michigan thing from Michigan people. I'm sorry. You did some shady shit. It's time for you to pay the penance. There is no penance that you're technically getting paid, that you're getting hit with right now for all 3 levels of this.
I don't know that we've kind of tried to project like what the punishment looks like. And I don't know. I'm no expert on NCAA punishment. So I legitimately don't know what direction I would go in for that. But
I mean, Tennessee, go look it up right now. What was their violation and penalty that they paid during the Jeremy Pruitt stuff? It's in the millions.
Like, well, right. Well, so their punishment was monetary, and that was why in the past I've brought up that if they did hit them anything with specifically the Stallions case, it probably would have been some sort of fine. I don't think that it would have been like any type of postseason ban that would have been given to them.
Well, fine him $15 million. I got to be real with you. When you got a dude at Oracle who literally is paying Bryce Underwood what he did, do you think that they bat an eye at that?
No. Well, that came out last week that he's now the 2nd richest man in the world.
Right, behind Elon. Right?
Which, yeah, I don't know if he's behind Elon. But still, you're right. If some sort of penalty is delivered and he is going to continue to bankroll this program, is that money that they have access to? Is that money that's just going to be quickly knocked out because it's like him spending $15. Is that what that's going to be?
I don't know. But if Weiss is found guilty, then what, Joe? Then what? I mean, I'm just saying. I'm asking.
It's incredibly unique to project what's going to happen here because it is such an awful, messed up thing that he did that happened in the same timeline of another completely different issue, two other completely different issues that were related to on-field stuff. So that's where this gets really complicated for me and why I don't want to project what's going to happen. The possibility of there being a lack of institutional control just feels likely. And again, to bring it back to the central point, Petitti should not be sticking up for them. He shouldn't.
No, not when this one looms. If the Weiss situation had been dealt with, the recruiting violation had been dealt with, and you're on the Stallions thing, fine. Joe, why are we bringing up the Stallions thing? This is the whole thing why Dan's article makes no sense to me. Why are you bringing – Joe, they already popped them with it.
What do you mean they already popped them with it?
They already popped them with violations of what's going on. Recruiting violations, Stallions, they got a 3-year probation. Wait, here's the penalty from – Joe, hold on. They've been hit.
No, they had not for the Stallions. They have not been hit for the Stallions.
I get that. But they've already been hit. 3 years of probation, a fine, and limited recruiting access. So they've already been popped. The Stallions thing is the Stallions thing. Maybe you can lump that in with what happened before. But, Joe, if that's where I was trying to get to, if the Stallions thing is still on the table and you have this other level 1 massive act that happened, now what? Now what? Again, trying to get to that whole process of now what? If this man is found guilty in a court of law, now what?
That's what I don't know. That's why I keep saying I'm not. I'm curious to see what Petitti says tomorrow in regards to this, because I bet you it's going to be one of the first questions. I really don't think that he wanted this to be public at this. No, juncture. I don't think that he did.
Joe, I got to be real with you. He's learning on the job in some of these instances. From a guy who has PR moves and has done PR before, quite honestly, he doesn't handle it in the right way. I went and watched Joel Klatt's interview with him, by the way, 2 or 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. Joe, this did not sound like a man that had been seasoned in being a commissioner. I'm sorry.
Well, no, he hasn't been a commissioner before.
He's got learning no on the job
in athletic administration. He's been a TV guy. He's been an executive. He worked at a video game company at one point.
What are we doing?
Blizzard.
What are we doing?
I have supported him on a lot of things, and I think that this is probably one of his – this and the playoff model have been two massive missteps on his part.
I completely agree here. All right. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Joe, some massive news.
Wait, we got a couple super chats before we jump to those.
Oh, of course. They're all from Elks. Petitti doesn't say this if he knows Michigan isn't getting hit. My take is he knows more is incoming, and just saying this, Sankey did the same for Tennessee. The difference with the Sankey situation, Joe, we're not talking about anything sexual in nature that happened here.
Yeah, it's completely different than the Tennessee
completely situation. Different. Like, come on, dude. Come on.
But I do agree. You don't publicly come out and say these things.
That's true.
If you don't think that there's something huge about to be hit.
That's true. TriStar looks like a Tennessee fan, says all this playoff drama is insane. Just do my conference and playoff model and everybody wins. Keep regionalism and rivalries at a sensible playoff. I mean, he's not wrong.
Well, no, he's not wrong, but the problem is nobody can agree on what the word sensible means and what fits the description of
Joe, what is the most sensible of the two?
Well, we've said 5 and 11, but the Big Ten is going to continue to argue the 4-4-2-2-1.
So stupid. Elks also says letterhead was only about Stallions. Weiss was not involved. Again, I understand it's not about him, but but Elks' comment above says he knows that they're going to get hit with something more. I mean, with all due respect, the Stallions thing is the Stallions thing. That's not the mega bomb that's going to be dropped on them. The mega bomb has all of it. Because, Joe, think about this very quickly. Imagine you hit him with Stallions and you say, hey, the NCAA, hey, this whole investigation with Michigan is over, and then Weiss gets found convicted of the acts of what he did. You're going to tell people that got sexually assaulted, or I don't even know how to really even
not assaulted, violated,
sexually violated, that legitimately that now you're just not going to do anything to them? No. I mean, what's the massive bomb? Because I don't think Stallions is the massive bomb. I think it's Weiss if he gets found guilty. That's the one they should be scared of.
Right.
Dude, I mean, come on. Dude allegedly broke into women's phones and took very demeaning photos of them. Sheesh. All right. Joe, speaking of sensible, something that the Big 12 might not have done today is the University of Memphis offer them $200+ million. Now, Ross Dellinger says $200 million. For whatever this is worth, Brett McMurphy says $250, and Brett Marcello says $225. So I guess anywhere in between $200 and $250 million did Memphis try to go in there and buy their way into the Big 12. Joe, your thoughts on this?
Well, first of all, this whole thing is hilarious. When you go look up the Memphis Tigers Athletics Twitter account, and an hour ago, they shared a nice, beautiful graphic. Proud member of the American Conference. Went out of their way to share that one. I don't know if that was like a scheduled post that was supposed to come out with the rebrand of the American and the way that they changed it. It's no longer the American Athletic Conference. It's now just called the American. Mascot that they created is incredibly stupid looking. If I'm Memphis, I get it. I understand. You really badly want to be at the big kids table. We spend hours a week crapping all over the G5 teams that are in the mix for the playoff and talking about why we don't think that they deserve to be there. Memphis goes 12-0 this year, 11-1. I don't know if they play a P4 opponent this season. If they run the table and they're fantastic, we're going to call into question if they still deserve to be in the playoff mix. It helps in recruiting when you're in a big conference, if you're in the ACC or if you're in the Big 12. But why the hell would you spend $200+ million to get in? That is insane. You're putting yourself. I know that there is a conversation about how they've got a lot of money from FedEx. They've Fred Smith put a lot of money towards him. Lowe's put a lot of money towards it. But why would you waste all of that money to get into a conference, to put up the stipulation that if you're a detriment to the conference, they can kick you out before the next TV deal comes up? You're foregoing revenue. Why would you put yourself at such a serious handicap for the first years of your involvement in the Big 12? There's no way that this would work. Like, use the opportunity and all this funding that you have to become the best G6 conference, G6 team. Yeah, best G6 team. Become the best G6 team and then earn the right to get invited. If you do that in the next 5 years, you will get interest from the ACC or the Big 12. Forcing this was stupid, and to get shut down publicly like this is embarrassing.
Well, let me ask you this question. Is it not a little embarrassing for the Big 12?
No. Why would it be embarrassing for them?
So glad you asked. 2 weeks ago at Big 12 Media Days, Brett Yormark was asked about finances. He asked about TV deals. And he said, and I quote, that since I've been here, it's all been struggling times in TV deals when it comes to financial matters, end quote. It's a stressful time for you, and you ain't taking $250 million to keep your conference alive. Does sound stupid. Now, with all due respect, I don't think that Memphis is a bad team to get in there.
No, I don't disagree with that part. I mean, they would be a competitive, committed team. I think they would do better.
I'm not even thinking about football. I'm not even
basketball.
thinking
Yeah, they'd be amazing at basketball.
I think basketball would be a big thing here. Joe, you're going to turn down $250 million and a school that's not going to give you 5 years worth of TV revenue, they take none. Why are the presidents denying this? This isn't really your mark. They don't have 12 of the 16 to vote them in. I don't know if the Big 12 really has a choice here, but I don't think it looks great for them when someone's going to give you $250 million that then gets distributed to all the schools during TV revenue. Like, to add whom? Memphis? Like, hey, wait a minute. I got to go through the first year of TV revenue and pay kids $20.5 million in the first year in college athletics ever. Wait a minute. Brett Urimark just called. Memphis wants in. They're going to give me $18 million to come into the conference. Yeah, let's roll. I mean, why not? I don't think it looks smart by them either.
Well, the perspective on this and what was brought up is that now you add in Memphis and it's going to dilute the pool for the next TV deal that you have coming up, which is not that far away. Actually, I don't know the timeline of that. Never, forget what me saying that. They're worried that it dilutes whatever that new TV deal is. And I guess maybe it's not the next deal because they'd be foregoing TV revenue to start, but maybe in the future, there's just a fear of it's another team that has to be shared a piece of the pie. One of the quotes that really stuck out to me was what Ross put in his article, that they pointed out, we vetted Memphis when we added the other four, Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, and BYU, and chose not to add them. What's changed now? So whatever they found and they discovered back when they made this move a couple of years ago, they clearly weren't impressed.
Well, they also under massive allegations of tampering and what the recruiting violations and shit like that
for basketball. Yeah, for
basketball. Yeah.
If they don't think that they're going to get a significant boost in brand value from the team at the current moment, which is true, if they, just because they have a bigger commitment to athletics right this second, doesn't mean that they suddenly carry this huge weight that takes decades to build up. I don't think it's wrong to say being handed a big check at the beginning of their time here is not enough for the long-term success of the conference.
Well, you know, the last time that happened and a G5 team spent a shitload of money to get in another conference, it was SMU getting into the ACC. And they left the American Conference. And by the way, they weren't great. Joe, if I'm the ACC, if I'm Jim Phillips, I'm picking up the phone and calling them. Hey, you might not be the team that we need in football. That's okay. You'll be the team in basketball, though. Hey, Memphis, here's a good deal. You can give it to us. You know all those West Coast school kids that you're trying to recruit in basketball? Now they can come watch you play it when you're on the road in the West Coast. Joe, the ACC better do this. I don't think that Memphis and by the way, you need to give Clemson and Florida State and North Carolina more money. Welcome to your settlement money. Congratulations.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, I think you're right.
Urimark needs to go to those presidents and say, listen, I'm about to hand you over whatever the check is going to be in the distribution of this. I'm about to hand you a check worth X. You got TV revenue you got to pay. It's financially wise to do this. Joe, could you imagine if Texas Tech, who spent all that shitload of money, could have used it and said, man, let's use this to our advantage. It's done by the presidents of the Big 12 to not allow this. Because here's the thing. Just like SMU, I don't think FedEx and Lowe's are done spending money on Memphis either.
No, they're not.
If you're going to spend $250 million just to get in a subpar P4 conference, what else are they about to do? By the way, FedEx donated $20.5 million to the athletic department last year. God rest Fred Smith. Joe, is the $20.5 million, is that number relevant in anything? Oh, wait, it's what you got to pay in TV revenue. Funny how that works.
they are supposed to have like a super massive financial commitment for football, and they're building a completely new football stadium this coming year. The one thing though that does admittedly stand out to me that is like, I feel like you add Memphis, and let's forget all the money that's being thrown around. The conference itself is already huge. There's 16 teams in the conference. Yeah. The same thing kind of applies for the ACC at the current moment. If you don't feel like from a competitive standpoint, from an entertainment standpoint, that it's adding anything to the table, I would think it's unnecessary. I think that the point that you just brought up, though, with the ACC, with the unsettled nature of how things are being handled with Florida State, with North Carolina, with Clemson, them visibly not wanting to be there, them readjusting in the lawsuit that they had, where it does create an opportunity for them to try and get out for a cheaper amount in the near future. If they do try to bail, you suddenly have this comically large influx of cash where Memphis joins and you get $200 million. And then you have all the buyout fees from all of the teams that try to leave, and your conference is still a respectable size. That's where my attention goes. They would be a much better fit in the ACC than they wouldn't be in the Big 12. And I think that the Big 12's been great at basketball, but the ACC historically has been a great basketball conference as well.
Yeah, Duke and North Carolina.
Well, North Carolina leaves, you're replacing it with Memphis.
But I'm just saying they've been respectful because Duke's in it. Yeah. I mean, again, Joe, the ACC, if I'm Jim Phillips, I'm telling Stanford and Cal, see ya. Go back to the Pac-12.
I don't think they're not going to kick them out.
What does Stanford give you athletically more than Memphis would?
Well, I don't know if it holds the same weight that it once did. They're amazing in all the Olympic sports. Like, they're amazing at swimming. They're amazing at, there's value in that. There's absolutely value in having the best Olympic institutions out of all the athletic departments.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Yeah. Like, let's get real. I mean, let's just be real.
Act like there's not value. There is value in that.
Memphis basketball in and of itself is going to do bigger.
Yeah, but you don't have to kick out Stanford to add Memphis basketball.
Bye-bye.
You don't have to do that. That's unnecessary.
Palo Alto seems like a bad Mexican drink. See ya.
It's unnecessary to do.
I'm just saying. Like, dude, they're going to spend a shitload of money. The $200 million is just the beginning for Memphis. The real question is, what we should say is, shit. I mean, it's the same thing with SMU, Joe. It's the same exact thing.
Right. That's why if I am the ACC, I would be excited about Memphis. I don't fault the Big 12 for not feeling attracted to bringing them in. Already crowded conference.
Joe, if Memphis goes to the ACC and does well in any sport, a.k.a. basketball, the Big 12 is going to look so stupid.
Is it, though? Because I think they're going to be fine in basketball, because you're still going to have Houston go into Final Fours and have – they were the best basketball conference this year. I don't think it's going to change anything for them.
I think the SEC was the best basketball conference. They got
second best.
Oh, yeah. I'm just saying. The SEC people that think I ride the SEC are about to be after me now, but they were.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if national titles is what it takes, right? Well, y'all told me that the Big Ten was the best because they got 2 national titles.
Well, we're talking about basketball. We're not talking
about football. All right. Okay. Joe, another little hot topic button that got pressed here. Steve Sarkisian was in Texas this week, clearly, and had some very interesting comments about the soft salary cap, saying that teams are going to go over that 20.5 cap when it comes to TV revenue, and somebody's going to get popped for it. I do not want it to be Texas. We do things good here, and I really like that salary y'all are paying me, when he was speaking in front of a coach's clinic last week. Your thoughts of Steve Sarkisian's comments on someone's going to break this cap? Oh, by the way, what just happened in recruiting?
Well, what are you talking about? All the moves that he just made, and all the guys that they just brought in?
Yeah, you do it on the day of SEC Media Days. Get a kid to commit the same day that you and Georgia are on the same day, and then you're walking out, and Kirby's walking out. You're walking in. Boom, the kid commits on the spot, flips. You going to talk to me about salary cap problems and people going over it when you damn well sure are going over them your damn selves.
Okay, well, we don't know if they're going over it or not.
But know they're spending money.
We don't know. We know that they're spending money, but we don't know if they're going over the salary cap.
I put my commitment from Georgia to Texas because they paid me more.
No. Come on. Just wait for a second. Just because they're spending money, which they have always done in the current era of college football, does not mean that they're going over the salary cap. And I think for the reason that we have spoken very highly of Sark in the past couple of years is the way that he has been the most revolutionary coach. Him and Dan Lanning have been the two that we talk about the most. They have been the best at adapting and getting ahead of the game in being prepared to dominate in the new version of the sport. The sport has changed every single year in how to manage your roster, how to manage NIL, how to manage the transfer portal, all of those things. And that was what he talked about. He talked about how his general manager is focused and locked in on making sure that they don't get themselves into those sticky situations and they're still able to go out there and sling around a lot of money. I will say this, though, the thing that kind of perplexed me about this, Blake, I don't really know what he was implying with this. Like, he was saying that someone's going to get punished for going over the cap. Like, I feel like you'd have to be like really reckless for that to happen. And do we really think that that's going to happen? It seemed like that was kind of like a broad aspersion that he was casting.
Accounting gets shit wrong all the time.
I feel like the teams that have the most money to spend are not going to be that sloppy with it.
No, but they're not going to go through the TV revenue money. They're going to get after it in other sneaky little ways. Hey,
well,
listen,
you're allowed to.
Well, hold on.
Do that.
We're going to pay you a $200,000 TV revenue base. However, we have NIL opportunities that's going to give you up to $1 million. Joe, with all due respect, it's how it's happening.
Yes.
You want to know how these teams are doing? I'm just going to tell you. Literally, you think of these GMs, Brandon Harris, you think of Alston Thomas, whoever the general managers are. Joe, they're base salarying these dudes all over the place. They're giving some more if the accounting makes sense to it, and then the rest is going with NIL. Like, literally, Pete Nakos talked about this. Pete Nakos had an interview out there that said, look, we're not going to do any NIL at Georgia, and we're going to pay you the $1 million. We're going to give you $1 million of our TV revenue money. Okay? Joe, I mean, everything, you can slice and dice anything. But I don't get what Sark is trying to say here either. Like, it makes no sense. And then I got to be real with you. It's like the Kirby Smart thing to some extent. Please stop talking to me about you and the portal and things that you're doing. When brother, you flip somebody and we all know how you flipped them. Like, come on.
That I will, and I kind of understand what you were trying to say at the beginning. I reject part of what you were getting at, but you're right. Like, I don't understand I really don't understand what he's trying to preach here. And he's also not really the best messenger for responsible spending. And I'm not saying that what he's done is irresponsible. That's not what I'm saying. I just, again, I don't, is he trying to imply that he thinks people are already finding ways to violate?
Did you feel like it was a shot at Texas Tech and a Texas coaches clinic when they just Felix Ojo?
Maybe that's what this is.
That's how I read it too. That's
the only way.
He's taking a shot at. Why are you going to a coaches clinic in Texas and literally saying, "Well, I'm just going to let you know some of these teams are already doing it, and I'm not going to be the one to get hit." That sounds like some petty rival Texas stuff with Felix Ojo.
That's the only thing that I could clock on this, because if we're just trying to read into it of like what is his forward thinking approach on this, I get he's trying to say that we're going to put our resources, making sure we're organized and we're allotting certain amounts of money for certain position groups and guys that have earned it, blah blah blah, whatever. But that's not what he said. I don't know why more people aren't talking about it from that angle where he's digging into Texas Tech. It's the most logical talking point.
You know why? Because Texas Tech pulled a move on Texas that Texas did to Georgia.
Texas Tech pulled a move on Texas that Texas did to Georgia. So they stole a guy away from them that they thought they were
paying a shitload of money. I mean, again, Joe, the best quote of last season, the best quote in recruiting, and it's not close, came from Justice Terry when he flipped to Texas. When he said, and I'm quoting, shit, they gave me more money. What was I supposed to do? I mean, come on. Texas Tech did it for one dude. You did it 3 times already to Georgia. Like, you're going to reap what you sow, Sark. Like, calm down a little bit. But here's the truth, and I got to be real with you. There are going to be teams that go over the cap here, and I got to throw something at you. I don't know if I don't give a lot of teams grace in year one.
Oh yeah, that's my whole point with this. That like I don't totally get what he was really trying to get at, minus him taking the shot at Texas Tech. I don't think that there's going to be aggressive punishments for this, because I don't think that this is like some heinous act to go over the revenue share. This is what's like the craziest that we haven't really talked about, is what does that mean in the future of the sport? That is such an ambiguous thing that I could possibly say on this show right now. I have no idea what it means if somebody goes over. Does it mean that they're illegally recruiting? Does it mean that they're going to get fined? Does it mean that they lose scholarships? Or does it mean that they just say, hey, you got to fix this so that you have to cut a play? Because in the NFL, you can go in the negative on the cap. The Saints have been in the negative in the cap for a very long time.
Not
the way that you get out of that, the first time. The way you get out of that, and you've got a grace period of time to figure that out, you got to cut players. You got to trade players. You got to move money.
Or you got to pay everybody guaranteed money to get the cap number down.
So what do we – I don't understand. Like, I don't think Sark – I'm not saying that Sark's dumb, but, like, I don't think that Sark really knows what that looks like.
Nobody knows.
I hate this.
Nope. Joe, do you think that Steve Sarkisian is doing the accounting of what players are getting paid? You get out of my face.
Well, no, so he said that he's not, but who's the former LSU?
Brandon Harris.
Brandon Harris is the one who's responsible for that.
But he's telling him, but Sark probably hears all these numbers being thrown around all day long in recruiting and is basically like, dude, there's no way that all these teams are going to have this amount of money. There's no way. And it's like, what I don't know if, look, I would be surprised if coaches know where the actual money came from in its minutia. Hey, do you think that someone goes up to Ryan Day and says, hey, 39% of this is coming from NIL, the other 61% is coming from, or 60 whatever percent is coming from the TV revenue money? Nobody's doing that. They're not telling head coaches that. So it felt like a shot for Felix Ojo, but again, it comes off to me in a place where it's like, dude, you're spending a shitload of money right now to flip players that have no business going to your school.
Yeah.
None.
I think that's what it was.
Joe, we're going to look back on this in 3, 4, 5 years and say more in-state 5-stars flipped than ever before. Because it's literally happened.
That's you might be on something there.
Because people are going out there and paying them. Bryce Underwood, Justice Terry, and what's happening with Georgia right now. You're going to sit here and tell me that used to be the norm. Sometimes, yes, in the past when kids kind of want to make a splash, but they were never committed to schools. I remember what happened in February. And you found out where everybody went. Like, oh, shit. Oregon got who? Oh, shit. Bro, Bama just flipped 17 people. What the fuck is going on? You know, like, what is going on?
With all the unexpected commitments that we had at the end of this cycle, or not at the end of the cycle, in the middle of the cycle, in the beginning of July, we alluded to this, the Calvin Russell, probably not Ojo, but Calvin Russell was the bigger example. There's going to be a lot of these kids that do change their mind. We saw it last signing day, as you just said. Last signing day, there were a bunch of last-minute moves because a lot of these teams, they lose a commitment in July. These schools realize, all right, just stay in contact. Just stay in touch. We're not going to give them a counter offer right this second. Let's see how the season goes. Let's assess our roster when signing day's a week away, and then we'll adjust the offer. That's how it feels like the new approach is, because now that there's money involved, and it's not just trying to hound a kid and texting and calling him all the time and trying to get him to come play for you.
It's so funny you're bringing this up. This is literally happening with baseball from a MLB to college baseball transaction every year.
Yeah.
Joe, the best pitcher in college baseball, Marco Paz, did not go in the first round this year because he had Tommy John surgery. There's no business he has no business hitting LSU's campus. None. LSU won out because people didn't want to pay the kid. The MLB teams didn't want to pay the kid what they thought he would be after Tommy John surgery. LSU comes in here. They do some things. I mean, it gets to a place where, Joe, I'm sitting back and saying, like, listen, none of this shit makes sense to me anymore. None of it. Because the money that's is thrown around here and all the sports. Joe, what the hell's happening in basketball? Like,
I refuse to try to assess what the hell happens with basketball. Basketball recruiting in the transfer portal.
It is absolutely insane.
Different level of chaos. And I have noted, I liked watching college basketball this year.
But did you see the dude from Florida? Joe, his Nike deal was over $2 million. Just his Nike deal. Then what Florida's giving him. And I'm like, brother.
I don't know where the bread's coming from.
Hot take. Mm-hmm. Individually, by average, I think some of the higher end play and money is coming in basketball. And we're not talking about it. Joe, you got one kid on a TV deal, got a $1.8 million signing bonus to sign with Nike, then goes to Air Jordan. Then he goes to a Jordan school. How do you think that worked?
There's a lot more money to go around for less roster spots. And I think that it's a lot easier to bankroll and to stuff money into building a basketball team than it is a football team. So, that's why we're seeing BYU right now. They've done some decent things in football recruiting. They got Ryder Lyons, but they have, I think I'm going to butcher his name, #1 basketball recruit for the upcoming class.
Yeah.
He's committed. That's
Mormon money going strong, baby. Mormon money coming.
It's easy to spread it out.
Speaking of that,
well, we have one more super chat instead of us getting to
Retzlaff. Let's just say Retzlaff is going to Tulane. I was told that they don't know if the kid was going to start.
He's a walk-on.
Yeah. I mean, goodness gracious. TriStar with a $5 super chat says 18 playoff with only conference champions, SEC, ACC, Big 10, Big East, Big 8, Southwest or SWC, Pac-12, Group of 5 with the best record.
Wait a minute. Did he just?
He made a couple of conferences.
You made 8. Okay, that's a bit.
I got to be honest.
Is it liberal to do there? I'm not calling you a liberal, but it's a little liberal to do.
Can I be real with you?
We need more conferences. Yeah.
Well, we need more conferences, but I actually don't hate that. It makes the regular season very interesting. It keeps the in-season stuff. Michigan does not. Michigan's win against Ohio State, it ends it for them.
I have a really chaotic take to end today's show.
Oh, shit.
The world that we live in with the conferences, the amount that we have, it's too many. It's too messy. We either need 2 or we need to go to this situation where he named 8. That's the difference.
Well, we won't have 8 because you still got G6.
are unimportant. Well, it would be G3. I don't know. I don't know what they would turn into. But to my point, you either need a ton of them or you need 2. The in between that we're doing right now is a stupid, silly dance, and it's just convoluting the whole thing.
Guess we'll see. We will see y'all on. Actually, we'll see you tomorrow, but not live.
Yes.
We'll see you soon. Y'all have a great day. Peace.